So hi, good morning. Little bit of less number of people are there. So frightened with the assignment. See, if you don't want to write, nobody will force you to write. Then you can sit idle in the class and then you cannot write. It's up to you. But that would be my suggestion that if you are here, so then you write. Then so now let's start with wherever we left. So what was the last topic? Ramakrishna Mission was the last topic. So we have not gone into Theosophical Society of India. So let's start with the Theosophical Society. Next organization is Theosophical Society. I just want to know how many of you have all revised. Kal jaake revise kiya? How many of you have revised? All of you? Most of you? Most of you. Some people did not revise. So the good news is that there would be no test. It's my way of doing the things that you must be revising the things. So if I would not have given the scare to you, you would not have revised. So at least you will feel good that you have revised the things. Then, so now, Theosophical Society. So when it comes to Theosophical Society, so the society was founded in USA by Madame Blavatsky and Colonel H.S. Olcott. So there were two people, Madame Blavatsky and Colonel H.S. Olcott. So now understand that in 1875 this organization was created, and it is derived from the word theosophy, and meaning of the word theosophy is godly wisdom. Then, so godly wisdom. Moreover, this organization was founded in 1875 in USA, but then in 1882 they came to Bombay, and from Bombay they shifted to Adyar in Chennai, and in 1882 itself they created the headquarters of this organization in Adyar, Chennai. Adyar is a river in Chennai, as you know, and so they created this organization. Now, what is the aim and objective of this organization? First of all, they developed faith in the Oriental philosophy. And which area we call Oriental? Basically, the Indian subcontinent, Oriental. Eastern religions are part of the Oriental concepts. So they developed faith in the Oriental philosophy of moksha, nirvana, karma. Okay? So moksha, nirvana, karma, liberation, then reincarnation of the soul. So these all things that is a quite a accepted thing in the Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism. So they developed faith in these all. They also started regarding Upanishads as the storehouse of the wisdom. Okay? In fact, they had a renewed interest in the yoga philosophy also. So they had immense faith in the Upanishadic tradition, and they always maintained that it was the storehouse of the wisdom, a path to divinity. So they started to follow these all traditions then, and moreover, when this organization was founded in 1882 in India, 75 in USA, but 1882 in India. So within 2 years, by 1884, they were able to create more than 100 branches in India. 100 branches in India. Finally, what happened? That the major impetus to this organization was in 1893. And why so? Because in 1893, another very important personality, Mrs. Annie Besant. Okay? So Mrs. Annie Besant joined the organization. She was from Ireland. Then she has come to India to join this organization, and under her guidance, this particular movement, theosophical movement, became further popular. So, what was her contribution? First of all, there is one such very big statement of her regarding the theosophy also and regarding the immediate need of India. So just listen to that what she has maintained at this point of time. So looking at the Indian scenario, she maintained that uh, at the present time, the need of India, among the others, include development of a nationalist spirit and education which is enriched by the West, not dominated by the West. So this is what she said. So there are two things in this quotation of the Mrs. Annie Besant. Very first thing, that what she has said, that the need of the India among the others is the development of the nationalist spirit, meaning that she is also able to identify that India has been exploited by the British officials and nationalism is the need of the day. Then, so nationalist spirit. And the second thing she says, the development of education, okay, development of education which can be enriched by the West thought and culture of the West, but not dominated by the West. So she is just talking about the modern scientific education, but she is not saying that the modern Western education must dominate the Indian traditional education. So this is what she said by this time, and in pursuance of the second objective in 1898, she founded one of the very famous college in Banaras. Name of the college is Central Hindu College. So Central Hindu College, where not only Hindu, that not only the traditional education was imparted, but at the same point of time, it also included modern scientific education. And this is the university which has gone to, this is the college which has gone to become BHU. When? In 1916, under the guidance of Madan Mohan Malaviya. Then, so mention a little bit. You start with here. It was founded by Madam Blavatsky and Colonel H.S. Olcott. Madam Blavatsky and Colonel H.S. Olcott. In 1875 at USA. In 1875 at USA. Then mention. It is derived from the word theosophy, which means godly wisdom. It is derived from the word theosophy, which means godly wisdom. Done. Then mention after it. 1882. In 1882, they shifted to India. They shifted to India and created headquarters at Adyar in Chennai. Adyar. Adyar in Chennai. Then mention further. After it. By 1884, more than 100 branches of theosophy was opened in India. More than 100 branches of theosophy was opened in India. Then you're right. They developed faith in the Oriental concepts like so एक एक करके लिखो. Very first thing, rebirth, karma, transmigration of soul, and salvation, moksha, nirvana, etc. Moksha, nirvana, etc. Full stop. They considered, after full stop, they considered Hindu Upanishads, they considered Hindu Upanishads as the storehouse of the wisdom. Hindu Upanishads as the storehouse of the wisdom. Then mention after it. This organization became further popular. This organization became further popular when Mrs. Annie Besant joined it in 1893. Mrs. Annie Besant joined in 1893. Full stop. She noted, and write in quote unquote. So, she noted and quote unquote में लिखो, the need of India among others. The need of India among others is the development of a nationalist spirit. Nationalist spirits and an education based in Indian values, and an education based in Indian values which can be enriched by thought and culture, which can be enriched by thought and culture of the West, but it must not be dominated by it. It must not be dominated by it. Then it must not be dominated by it. So this is her observation by this point of time. We'll write about the college, but before that, one more contribution of the Theosophical Society that we need to mention. Earlier in Arya Samaj, we mentioned that Arya Samaj, one of the contribution was publication of the Vedas and scriptures, and in translation also, translation, publication. But then Theosophical Society has done much in this regard. So they were not only limited to only Vedas, but they actually went ahead with publication, translation of all the Hindu scriptures done, and not just in the Indian languages, but also in the foreign languages done. So in English, in French, in Spanish, so many languages they have taken up this issue, and then they further popularized the Indian scriptures outside India. So mention under Mrs. Annie Besant, under Mrs. Annie Besant, Theosophical Society, under Mrs. Annie Besant, Theosophical Society conducted many research on Indian religious scriptures, It translated and published the Oriental literature of religious nature, in many languages. So now you tell me, the things which are there in the eastern part of the world, we call them Oriental. Okay? What about the things which are culture, thought, literature, which is there in the West? What we call? What is the name? So Oriental is the East, and what is West? No idea. Occidental. So West is called as Occidental. So See, if these words are there in your exam at any stage, so you must not get confused. When they say that Occidental culture, Occidental thought process, literary tradition, so that means that Western culture, Western thought process. Okay? So now let's come back to this part. Further you write, okay, that in 1898, in 1898, she founded Central Hindu College. She founded Central Hindu College to impart traditional education, to impart traditional education along with Western scientific subjects, along with Western scientific subjects. Done. Then mention later in 1916, 1916, in 1916, under the guidance of Madan Mohan Malaviya, under the guidance of Madan Mohan Malaviya, Central Hindu College became Banaras Hindu University. Central Hindu College became Banaras Hindu University. Banaras Hindu University. Okay? So this is what is about this particular part, Theosophical Society. Done. So now after the Theosophical Society, let's move to the next organization. So mention Prarthana Samaj. Prarthana Samaj. Okay. So understand that Prarthana Samaj, it was one of the initial organization created in the Bombay Presidency part. Okay. So who were the founders? The initial founder was Dr. Atmaram Pandurang, 1867. And moreover, it is said that the leaders of the Prarthana Samaj, they were highly inspired with the speeches of the Kesab Chandra Sen, who often visited Bombay, and with his oratory skill, with his advocacy, he was able to inspire a great lot. So now, what is their social reform agenda part, and what is their belief system? So the members of Prarthana Samaj, just like the Brahma Samaj, they were inspired from the Brahma Samaj. So they were also pledged to the worship of one God. Okay? So they were also subscribing to the worship of one God. Moreover, the most important leader in this Prarthana Samaj was Mahadev Govind Ranade. And he wrote one very famous text, and name of the text was Atheist Confession of Faith. So it is the name of the book that he has written, and in this text what he has written. So first of all, in this text he mentioned about that what kind of God we must be worshipping. Then so he said that we must be worshipping the omnipotent God. Omnipotent, have you heard this word omnipotent? What does it mean? Who is present everywhere. Okay? And then what else? All powerful. Okay? Or potent means powerful actually. Okay? That is the potency. In fact, in many places, if you are from the biological sciences, so then you read about the pluripotent cells and the omnipotent cells. That is also meaning that one thing which can be transformed into anything. Okay? So God is all powerful, he can do anything. Then so they are talking about compassionate omnipotent God, who is mentioned in the writings of the Maratha Bhakti saints. So when you learn about the Bhakti movement, there were many such phases of the Bhakti movement in India, starting from the southern part of India and then going into Karnataka, then Maharashtra. So in Maharashtra, we will be reading about, that is Vari Varkari movement of Maharashtra in Pandharpur. Many of you must be there from Maharashtra, they must be knowing Pandharpur. So Vari Varkari tradition of the Pandharpur. So that tradition they are counting in this reform, that the way the bhakti saints of Maharashtra has visualized the god, similar way we need to visualize the god. As far as their social reform agenda was concerned, though they were motivated by Kesab Chandra Sen, but they followed a very cautious program of the social reform agenda. They did not went in the direction whereby they will be saying that there must be intercaste marriages. They said that caste rigidities must be removed, but they did not promote intercaste marriage. Widow remarriage, they were favoring. Child marriage, they were in against the child marriage. So they followed this cautious reform agenda. And moreover, Mahadev Govinda Ranade, this is social reform organization. But then he went on to create a political organization also. And name of the political organization, anyone who knows? Pune Sarvajanik Sabha. Okay? And Mahadev Govinda Ranade was also one of the initial founder of the Indian National Congress. So mention a little bit. It was founded by Dr. Atma Ram Pandurang. 1867. Dr. Atma Ram Pandurang in 1867. Then mention the founders of this organization. The founders of this organization were motivated by visits of Kesab Chandra Sen. Motivated by visits of Kesab Chandra Sen to Bombay. Kesab Chandra Sen to Bombay. Then you write after it Kesab Chandra Sen to Bombay. Full stop. This society pledged to promote worship of one God. Pledged to promote worship of one God. Full stop. Then mention Mahadev Govind Ranade. Mahadev Govind Ranade was its most prominent leader. Mahadev Govind Ranade was its most prominent leader. You mention he wrote a text, and you write this name. So, a theist confession of faith, written on board. A theist confession of faith. In which he emphasized on worship. He emphasized on worship and adoration. Worship and adoration of the compassionate and omnipotent God, and omnipotent, omnipotent God, similar to the God mentioned in the writings of Maratha Bhakti saints. Maratha Bhakti saints. Then you write, mention Maratha Bhakti saints. Full stop. Members of Prarthana Samaj followed a cautious program of reform. Which included, so one by one you can mention, cautious program of reform which included support to widow remarriage, support to widow remarriage, education of women, education of women, ending caste restrictions, ending caste restrictions, caste restriction, raising the age of marriage, raising the age of marriage, and upliftment of untouchables, and upliftment of untouchables. Then, so this is what is about Prathana Samaj. Okay, let's go into the detailing of one of the very powerful social reform movement in Maharashtra, that is Satya Sodhak Samaj. Satya Sodhak Samaj. It is also called as Truth Seeker Society. So listen, this organization was founded in 1873 by Jyotiba Phule. Who was he? He belonged to the gardener community in Maharashtra, Mali community, and this Mali community of the Phule caste was considered as the class of untouchables in Maharashtra. Okay? So they were regarded as the untouchables. Now understand, okay? He was an educated guy, but then there was one personal incident in his life which changed his entire perspective. And actually, this personal incident inspired him to launch one of the most powerful upper caste domination, upper caste domination movement. What is this? So, what is this personal incident? It was the marriage of his friend. Okay? Marriage of his friend, and they all were going together, and Bharat was going, procession was going, and he was also walking along with the convoy of the friend. But then the family members of the friend, they came and they removed him from the Bharat. They not only removed him from the Bharat, but they also abused him. Okay? And then abuse were related to his caste. And in fact, it was also related to that if a Shudra is present in the Bharat, so this is considered as highly unauspicious. Then he was looking at it, and at the same point of time, he was also looking at his friend that at least he must intervene, but his friend was altogether in a different world then, and he did not spoke a single word. And this is the time that he realized that no matter what, then that how much you befriend with the people of the upper caste, there would be one time when they will be looking down on you. And that's how he took a resolve that he'll be initiating a movement against this upper caste domination. So now it all started, and it all started. So, it is said that change always starts with yourself. Okay? The very first change starts with yourself, with your family, with your own people. Then you can change the world. First, you will have to change yourself and change your own family members. So now, first of all, he was interested that his wife, Savitri Bai, she must be educated. And this change he started from his family. But then the biggest roadblock in this particular part was his own family. His own family was against education of the women. They considered that education is a realm of the higher caste. They would be the one who will be reading, writing, and women are not at all entitled to read and write. So then, when his argument went further with his family members, his father said that if you are going in this direction, so we'll expel you from house. Then we will disown you. Initially, he did not said anything. They planned. Okay? Despite these all warnings and everything, he planned. So what happened? So on daily basis, he is working in the agricultural field, and in afternoons, he is taking Savitribai is taking food to the agricultural field, and instead of that eating in the lunch time, he was educating her. But then, you know, in society there are always some informers who don't like these all stuff, or their work is this only, that they will pass the information from one place to another. So somebody passed the information to their house that they are not doing what is intended to be done in the agricultural field, but they are doing something else. Then that is imparting education. And finally, what happened? They were expelled from their own house. Then both of them. Then there was one friend of the Jyotiba Phule, his Muslim friend, who gave him a refuge. So there he not only completed the education of Savitri Bai, but then Fatima Begum, who was the sister of his friend, she also got educated over there. And they happened to be the first female teachers of this century. Okay? So this century. Moreover, not only Jyotiba Phule's story is inspirational, but similarly, it is Savitri Bai who was highly inspirational. Then, so her story is not less moving than the Jyotiba Phule. I'll tell you one thing. They created a school in Pune, a girls' school in Pune. It was a big move at that point of time. That पहले तो education ही नहीं available है, that to the backward people, and then to the women it is a double kind of discrimination. So they opened a girls' college at Pune, and Savitri Bai and Fatima Begum, they were regularly going to the college. Now in this school was 5 kilometers far from the place where they were living. So on daily basis, when the lady was going to the school, people were passing lewd remarks on her and throwing mud, throwing cow dung, pelting stones on her. So this was not a story of a single day, on daily basis. Okay? She was going through these all heckles. Then, and finally what happened? So she was unmoved, she was highly determined and unmoved by these all things. She always carried an extra sari in her bag. When she is going to school, she is changing the sari, she is teaching the students, coming back without saying a word to the people. Okay? So her story was not less moving. Then they founded this organization, Satya Sodhak Samaj. What was the purpose of this organization? So purpose of this organization, not only the upliftment of the untouchables, education of the backwards, education of the girl, and also changing the mindset of the lower caste society. It is also very important. Until and unless people are themselves not ready for the change, you cannot initiate the change. So they will have to be ready for it. So they created awareness regarding it. And moreover, it is said that Jyotiba Phule was the pioneer of the widow remarriage movement in the Maharashtra. Okay? So he also initiated this particular movement. In fact, here there is one story once again. Okay? Why he initiated this widow remarriage kind of thing, and in fact he also created one of the most successful orphanage of that time. So the reason was, there was one news at this point of time. There was one Brahmin lady, her name was Kashibai. And Kashibai, just after she has conceived a child, then her husband died in some sort of accident, then within a month itself. But then she is already pregnant. She is already holding the child. And then out of the lok lajja, I hope you know this word, that social prestige kind of thing, she did not moved out of the house then for the entire 8-month duration, and finally she gave the birth to a child. But she was so scared with the attitude of the society that people will not understand. They will call that after the death of her husband, she is involved with somebody else. So what she did, that out of the social prestige and fear, she was so scared that she threw the child in a well. Then she threw the child in a well, and the child was found. Then after, a case was registered against her. She was put into the jail. So looking at the ordeal of this particular lady, then Savitri Bai Phule and Jyotiba Phule, they created an orphanage, and they advertised in Maharashtra, particularly in Pune area, that whoever is going through this kind of pain, they can come to their place, they can give the birth to child, they don't need to throw the child, kill the child, we will take care of it and we will look after the child, and the world will not know that whose child is this. So till their last breath, they continued with this particular orphanage. And moreover, one more thing, as we mentioned in the last class, that magazines are also very important, particularly prelims exam के perspective से. So what happens, एक बात ध्यान में रखना, that किस type के question आते हैं. जैसे दे विल बी गिविंग यू अ नेम ऑफ अ मैगजीन विच इज़ ऑल टुगेदर नॉट नोन, नॉट देयर इन एनी बुक, ठीक है। चाहे वो जो किताब है ना तुम्हारी 1065 पेज की स्पेक्ट्रम, ठीक है, उसमें 1000 और ऐड हो जाए तो भी उससे नहीं आएगा, लिख के दे रहा हूँ, ठीक है। दिस इज व्हाट यूपीएससी डज, व्हाट यूपीएससी डज, दैट they will be giving you, for example, in 2020 itself they asked a name of a book written by Baba Valgaonkar, ठीक है, and then 4 books were given, ठीक है, 4 magazines names were given and people were perplexed that what will be the answer. 99% मैं बोलूँगा, ठीक है, 1% हो सकता है किसी ने कभी सुना हो, 1% भी नहीं, 0.001% people must have heard his name, but rest of the people, those who are in the preparation, they haven't heard the name of the Baba Valgaonkar. Then, so from where you will find, then the guidebooks will include his name after the paper is over from the next year. Then, but in the year of the exam, you will not find the name. Then, so you'll not find the name. So now, how you will solve this kind of question? Look at the options. Once again, I'm not overemphasizing on the elimination, but then for elimination also, you need to have a strategic understanding and strategic facts you must be remembering. So rest of the 3 books which were given, they were very known ones. For example, Sarvajanik Satya Dharma. It is the reform magazine of the Jyotiba Phule. Okay? So if it is, you know that Sarvajanik Satya Dharma is of Jyotiba Phule, तो उसको वहीं कट कर दिया. सोम प्रकाश ऑफ ईश्वर चंद्र विद्यासागर वहीं कट कर दिया. एनिहिलेशन ऑफ द कास्ट डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर वहीं कट कर दिया. बचा क्या? जो एक किताब बची है उसको कट लो. सो इट्स नॉट लाइक that everything you will find in the notebook and the everything you will find in the kitab that you are reading, so वो 1065 pages की हो या फिर then 2000 pages की हो. So these questions would be different and they will be difficult, but it's only you need to understand that it is not difficult, so difficult to crack if you have remembered the strategic facts, and strategic facts, all the strategic facts are there in your notes. Then, so are there in your notes. So this approach you need to follow. आई होप यू गॉट इट डन. एंड देखो ये सब चीज़ प्रैक्टिस से आएगा, बिना प्रैक्टिस के तो होगा नहीं. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल योर प्रीलिम्स टेस्ट सीरीज विच इज़ हैपनिंग, ठीक है, अभी तो स्टार्ट हो गया होगा, कुछ टॉपिक्स कंप्लीट हो गए हैं. सो यू मस्ट गिव द एग्जाम. एंड वन मोर थिंग, दैट एक्सप्लेनेशंस विच आर गिवन इन द प्रीलिम टेस्ट सीरीज, दैट ऑल्सो यू रीड. देन बिना उसको पढ़े कोई वैल्यू एडिशन नहीं होगा. सो दिस इज वन वे ऑफ डूइंग द वैल्यू एडिशन इन योर कोर्स. That rather than running after many books which are there in the market, it's better that class karo, class notes karo, and then do the value addition from the test series. That would be much more than enough. So let's come to this part. So isme likho, sorry. So start with, it was founded by Jyotiba Phule in 1873. In 1873. Full stop. The objective of this organization was upliftment of backwards, untouchables, and women. Full stop. Then you write mention. It was one of the most powerful movement against upper caste domination. Upper caste domination. Done. Then mention. Jyotiba Phule started the change with his own family. And ensured the education of his wife Savitri Bai Phule. Education of his wife Savitri Bai Phule. Then, moreover, he also imparted education to He also imparted education to his friend's sister Fatima Begum. His friend's sister Fatima Begum. Then mention they created a girls' college. School likhna, girls' school. They created a girls' school at Bhidewala in Pune. I'm writing this Bhidewala at Pune. Then mention Savitri Bai and Fatima Begum. Savitri Bai and Fatima Begum taught in this school, and they happen to be the first female teachers of this age. They happen to be first female teachers of this age. First female teachers of this age. Then Jyotiba Phule also created an orphanage. Jyotiba Phule also created an orphanage. Then he is also regarded as pioneer. He is also regarded as pioneer of widow remarriage. Pioneer of widow remarriage in Maharashtra. Then his popular magazines include, so write the two names, Sarvajanik Satya Dharma. Sarvajanik Satya Dharma. And second one was Gulam Giri. Sarvajanik Satya Dharma and Gulam Giri. Then, so this is what is about this particular society. Okay? Let's move to the next one. Here I am going to write a name, and name is Pandita Ramabai. So Pandita Ramabai. Now, she was also one of the very famous social reformer from Maharashtra, okay? And particularly from the Pune area. So now, here also there was a question in the exam. So we'll tell you that what was the question. But first of all, Pandita Ramabai was one of the very profound reformer in 1880s. Then, and she also dedicated her life for the cause of the women. Then she founded 3 organizations. Then, and the very first organization, so let me write one by one. Arya Mahila Samaj. Second was Mukti Mission. And third was Sarda Sadan. Now understand. So Arya Mahila Samaj, the purpose of this organization was this. What is this? Education. So education of the girl, okay? Education of the women. This is there. Then Mukti Mission. So Mukti Mission was for refuge, asylum to the women who are abused by their families. Then widows who are abused by their families, discarded by their families. So providing them refuge. And Sarda Sadan was for vocational training. vocational training of the women. Then, so why vocational training? So that they can be employed, okay? They can sustain, they can earn livelihood for themselves. Then, so these were the three organizations which she has founded in between 1881 to 83. So by this time it has come to a reality. Now there is another aspect of her life, that is, she was the left lieutenant of, or you can say that lieutenant of or supporter of Rakhma Bai. Rakhma Bai in the famous case related to restitution of conjugal rights. So in the famous case associated with restitution of conjugal rights, we'll tell you more about it. Just let me write. So tell me, do you understand what is the restitution of conjugal rights? Or what is conjugal rights? What is conjugation? No idea. So basically it is the marriage right. If you're married to somebody, so both the partners or spouses, they enjoy some sort of privileges, okay? Not privileges, but they have some rights. Then, so for example, that one of the supposed thing in a marriage institution, that people who have got married, they must live together. Then, so they must live together. So now understand how this story unfolded. Rakhma Bai was belonging to one of the very rich Parsi family. Okay? Very rich Parsi family. Just after the birth of the Rakhma Bai, okay, her father's death has happened. Then it was in the Parsi society, so her mother got married to somebody else. Then when she got married to somebody else, so though it was a good family, but then still some orthodoxies were there. Then so what happened in the very early age, she was just 4 or 5 years old when her marriage was conducted with Dadaji Bhikhaji. Okay? So her marriage was conducted with Dadaji Bhikhaji, and already she is 5-year-old and he was more than 25 years. Okay? There was a big age difference between them. So Dadaji Bhikhaji. Now, after that, what has happened, that still since she was a child, so she is still living with her parents then, and she completed her education, and in fact she got a good education. She happened to be one of the initial doctors of India, though she was not the first doctor. The first doctor, female doctor of India was, any idea? Anandi Behen Joshi. Okay? She was the first female doctor. But then she was also in that league within 4 or 5 years also. She also became a doctor. But before that, you understand. So when she has completed her education, by that point of time, she was the only child of her parents. Then only child of her parents, and in fact, she has a wealth from the previous family, her father's family, and she has a wealth from this father's family. Okay? So, and her mother has accumulated a lot of wealth. So what happened, that her mother's death happened, and after the mother's death, all the property came in her name. At this point of time, Dadaji Bhikhaji requested her to stay with him, then sent a proposal to stay with him. But then she refused. She said that I was so that my age was so less that at that point of time I even did not knew that what is marriage. So I don't accept this marriage. Okay? I don't accept this marriage, and then you are I would not be living with you. After this, what happened, when she refused to come to his place, he filed a case in the court, and this case is called as restitution of the conjugal rights. And so the case name is the restitution of the conjugal rights. Now, the judgment of this case came whereby the judiciary, okay, it said that either she will have to live with Dadaji Bhikhaji or she will have to languish in the jail. Then she accepted that she will better pay penalty and languish in jail than living with Dadaji Bhikhaji. Now at this point of time when this all has happened, so Pandita Ramabai became the lieutenant of the this lady, and on the behalf of the Rakhma Bai, she wrote a letter to whom? You know whom? Victoria, Queen Victoria. So there was one appeal which was made to Queen Victoria, and when Queen Victoria learned this particular episode, so she was very angry and she was very frustrated on the judiciary, and she asked question that at one hand in Britain we talk about the right of the women, that we talk about the right of the women are seen with such a respect. So why, if there is a queen's rule in India, so why the women of India would be discriminated? So on her behest, what happened? One new bill was passed in the British Parliament, and this new bill was known as Age of Consent Act 1891. So it was one of the first positive intervention of the Queen Victoria, and because of her intervention, this Age of Consent Act was passed, whereby it was said that it is for Indian system or Indian society to decide that what must be the age of consent. So it was decided that 13 year would be the age of consent, at least. Okay? That 5-6 years obviously is not the age of consent. So after 13 year, if the marriage is happening, okay, so then it will be considered that the child is, or basically the spouses are, their age is enough to decide that they want to live with somebody or they don't want to live with somebody. So this was the historical case, and this was the question which was asked in, I think, 2020. Okay? So mention, you're right. And just listen why I did this thing. Very first part. See, you will have to create the formulas. देखो fact इतने easily याद नहीं होते हैं. It's not an easy nut to crack. I also understand. And I have also gone through the same process. Everyone goes through the same process. So you will have to create your own formulas to remember the things. Then, so for me, okay, I always remember this in this way: ERV, electrical recharge vehicle. Okay, that is my sequence. So electrical recharge vehicle, that education, refuge, and vocational training, and then here also I create the formulas. Then so AMS. So I will be remembering in a different way. Then, so AMS is the first sequence, ERV is the second sequence, and then accordingly I create the marks. Then, so this way that you will have to create the mnemonics. See, my mnemonics may work for me, but your mnemonics will work for you. So majority of the places you will have to create, you will have to be little bit innovative. Okay? So innovative, and with that innovation you will be able to remember all the facts. There is no doubt about it. Then, so अपने end से ऐसा करते रहना, ठीक है? Mention. Pandita Ramabai was one of the most profound social reformers. Most profound social reformers from Western India. From Western India. She dedicated her life for the cause of women. She dedicated her life for the cause of women. Then mention after it, cause of women. She founded series of organization for the emancipation of females, in between 1881 to 83. Emancipation of females in between 1881 to 83. And then you write. So एक एक करके लिखो. So very first you write Arya Mahila Samaj. Arya Mahila Samaj, number 1. Mahila Samaj for the education of girl child. Education of girl child. Second you write Mukti Mission. Mukti Mission was meant for rescue of rescue of the widows and women, rescue of the widows and the women abused by their families, abused by their families, abused by their families, and to provide them refuge, and to provide them refuge. So what you can do, rescue and refuge, you can underline. Then third you write Sharada Sadan. Sharada Sadan was meant for, Sharada Sadan was meant for providing vocational training, providing vocational training to the women and the disables. इसमें add करना, to the women and disables, so that they can support their livelihood, so that they can support their livelihood. Then, so this is what is about first part. Then you write, she was one of the outstanding supporters. अब कोई point नहीं लिखना, अलग से लिखो, ठीक है? She was one of the outstanding supporter of Rakhma Bai, outstanding supporter of Rakhma Bai, Rakhma Bai, in the historical case of, restitution of conjugal rights, in the historical case of restitution of conjugal rights, full stop. It led to intervention of, Queen Victoria, it led to intervention of Queen Victoria and passing of Historical Age of Consent Act 1891. Historical Age of Consent Act 1891. Age of Consent Act 1891. So this is what is about that Pandita Ramabai. Then, so mention. Next one after it. So now we are moving towards the southern part of India. What all reform movements were there in the southern part of India? So first you write a name, Kandakuri Veer Salingam. So listen. Sharada Sadan, it was for women. Okay. Yes. Sharada Sadan, the last one, na? Disabled is also there. Yeah. Sharada Sadan was the last one. So disabled also and for women also. No, not women disabled. Any disabled. Okay. Disabled means that we have not specified that only female disables, but any disabled. Then. So not just for women, but any disabled. Then, now understand. So Kandakuri Veer Salingam. So he happened to be one of the initial social reformers from the Telugu speaking area. And he is often regarded as the father of the Telugu Renaissance. Then he was one of the active member of the Brahma Samaj. See, Brahma Samaj doesn't end at the Brahma Samaj. In fact, Brahma Samaj inspired many organizations all over India, many people to create a regional organization of the reform in those areas. So he was also initial member of the Brahma Samaj. In fact, he was also highly motivated with the speeches of the Kesab Chandra Sen. Then, so Kesab Chandra Sen. Now what has happened? So he happened to create one of the initial girls' school at Rajamundry in Telangana. Okay? Rajamundry in Andhra. I think Rajamundry is in Andhra right now. So where he created a girls' school in 1873 itself. Then in 1878 he created Brahma Mandir, and 1908 created organization Hitkarani Sabha. So what he wanted to do over there, he was also similar to the things which were happening in the Brahma Samaj, Viduri marriage, then ban on child, or basically raising the age of the marriage. Then apart from it, he also organized a movement against the dowry. Dowry is very popular all over India, you know, but then in southern part also it is not something which is untouched. So he also organized a movement against the dowry. Then he was also against the caste rigidities and ending caste restrictions. So same things which was there in the Brahma Samaj can be written over here also. You right? He is often regarded as father of Telugu Renaissance. Father of Telugu Renaissance. Then mention further. He was an active member of Brahma Samaj. And highly motivated with the speeches of Kesab Chandra Sen. He created a girls' school. At Rajamundry. Girls' school at Rajamundry and Brahma Mandir in 1878. He was pioneer of Viduri marriage. In Telugu speaking area. Pioneer of Viduri marriage in Telugu speaking area. Then mention he was against child marriage and caste rigidities. He also organized anti-dowry movement. Done. Next you write Sri Narayan Dharma Paripalana Yogam. Sri Narayan Dharma Paripalana Yogam. It's also called as SNDP movement. SNDP movement. So listen. Is it visible? Sri Narayan Dharma Paripalana Yogam. उसमें visible नहीं है. It is visible in this one but not in the other screen. How come? It is possible. Now visible. Camera is excessive zoomed. Now fine. Visible. Chalo. So listen. That this SNDP movement, it was launched in Kerala, and this organization was founded in 1903. So with whom it is related? It is actually related with the upliftment of one of the untouchable caste in Kerala known as Ejavas. Then, so understand, that Ejavas constituted near about 26% population of the Kerala then, and moreover they were considered as backwards, a caste of the toddy tappers then. So toddy tapper, you understand, a fermented drink which people get from the toddy trees then. Haven't you heard about it? So toddy tappers. So basically fermented drink which can be equivalent to the alcohol then. So alcohol. Now understand after it. So this movement was initiated by Sri Narayan Guru for the upliftment of the Ejavas. But then at the same point of time, he also wanted to inculcate the values of the hygiene among the Ejavas and as such move ahead with the reformation. Moreover, he was critical to the caste system, those rigidities which were there, and how these that Ejavas were looked upon in the society. In fact, there were many issues at this point of time. So later on, we'll write a little bit about the temple entry movement also. But the first initiation of the temple entry was initiated by Sri Narayan Guru himself. Then so Ejavas were not entitled, they were not allowed to enter into the temples. So he demanded that there must be entry into the temples. He further demanded that there must be admission of the untouchables into the public schools, access to the public facilities and the public roads and public institution, increasing the political representation. So in fact, Narayan Guru is considered as an inspiration for many, including even Dr. B.R. Ambedkar considered it as an inspiration. So mention, you write. It was initiated by Sri Narayan Guru. It was initiated by Sri Narayan Guru, who belonged to Ejava caste of Kerala. Who belonged to Ejava caste of Kerala. Ejavas constituted 26% population of Kerala. Ejavas constituted 26% population of Kerala. They were considered as untouchables. They were considered as untouchables, and they were class of toddy tappers. They were class of toddy tappers. Then full stop. Narayan Guru inculcated values of hygiene. Narayan Guru inculcated values of hygiene among Ejavas. Values of hygiene among Ejavas, and opposed upper caste domination. Opposed upper caste domination. Full stop. He demanded increased political representation. He demanded increased political representation, right to admission to public school, entry to temples, access to public facilities and roads, etc. And so this is what is about this particular SNDP movement. Then now two more we will take into the consideration. So next you write after this South Indian Liberal Federation. South Indian Liberal Federation. So South Indian Liberal Federation, it was founded in 1916 and by T.M. Nair and P. Tyagaraja. T.M. Nair and P. Tyagaraja. Now understand. So this was also the first anti-upper caste movement in Madras presidency. Okay? So it was against the domination of the upper caste in Madras presidency. Now, so initially it was all about that opposing the upper caste dominance, caste rigidities, ending caste restrictions. But later on, what has happened in 1920s, this particular SIL federation, it participated in the general elections with the name of Justice Party. Okay? So in 1920s, it participated in the general elections with the name of Justice Party. Now, the organization, which was a social reform organization in the beginning, it became a political entity by 1920s, and they lost their fervor. But then, in 1937, okay, this organization came under influence of 1937. It came under influence of E.V. Ramaswamy Naicker. Then, so E.V. Ramaswamy Naicker. And as you know that there is a recent controversy at this point of time related to things in Tamil Nadu. I hope you must have read. So it is his statements are mended, bended and folded, unfolded by the politicians. Then, so just we'll not go into it, but just uh, I thought that you must know that whose, just give me 1 minute, words are used at this point of time. So listen, so E.V. Ramaswamy Naicker, also known as Periyar, and he was very popular in the society because of his self-respect movement. Then, so self-respect movement, and moreover, he was able to recognize in the society that if you are not respecting yourself, nobody else will respect you. Then, if you are not fighting for yourself, nobody else will fight for you. Then, so this is the movement he initiated. It was different from the SIL Federation, and because of this, he was very popular. So in 1937, it came under his influence and his self-respect movement, and as such, when he joined this organization, so what he did, that he changed the name of organization, and the name of organization at this time, it became Dravid Kadagam. Dravid Kadagam. And so what is this? Dravidian Federation. And once again, they have embarked on the path of the social reform. Then later on, his death has happened, and after that, this organization has come under the influence of Anna Durai. Then, so influence of Anna Durai, and under the guidance of Anna Durai, this organization became Dravid Munnetra Kadagam, then DMK, Dravidian Progressive Federation. Then, so this is what is the history of the DMK party. So Anna Durai, under the guidance of Anna Durai, it became a once again political organization, DMK. And moreover, what is one of the initial thing associated with the DMK? It happens to be the first political party in India which demanded caste-based reservation. And as such, Tamil Nadu is the one state where the highest caste-based reservation is there. What is that percentage? 69%. Okay, is the caste-based reservation. The general seats are just 31%. So mention, you're right. It was founded by T.M. Nair and P. Tyagaraja. It was founded by T.M. Nair and P. Tyagaraja. I'll drag. Just wait 1 minute. In 1916. In 1916, to oppose upper caste domination, and upliftment of backward caste. Then then mention after it full stop के बाद लिखो upliftment of backward caste. In 1920, with the name of Justice Party, SIL Federation participated in general elections. SIL Federation means South Indian Liberal Federation. Okay? So SIL Federation participated in general elections. Their victory made them more of a political entity. Their victory made them more of a political entity than a social reform organization. Full stop. Then mention. In 1937, Justice Party came under influence of self-respect movement of E.V. Ramaswamy Naicker. E.V. Ramaswamy Naicker or Periyar. E.V. Ramaswamy Naicker or Periyar. Then you mention he withdrew from the electoral politics. And once again this organization became social reform organization. Justice Party was renamed Dravid Kadagam. KAZAZHAGAM. Then mention later under the guidance of Anna Durai. It became Dravid Munetra Kadagam. It's all written on board, you can see. Dravid Munetra Kadagam, and in brackets you write Dravidian Progressive Federation. Got it? Then DMK, ab likho alag se after full stop. DMK is remembered for demanding caste-based reservation in Madras Presidency. In Madras Province likhna. In Madras Province. Then, so this is what is about the DMK wala part. Okay? And the last one from the southern part, you write temple entry movement. So mention. Though already Narayan Guru was initiator of it, but then there are few more strands that we need to know. So understand. So temple entry movement was majorly in Kerala, and understand. So it was the Narayan Guru who asked for it, ठीक है, who asked for it that there must be temple entry, ठीक है, and temples must be open to the untouchable class of the Kerala. But then not much was achieved during his lifetime. He was mainly there in between 1900 to 1910. In 1924, there was a renewed fervor in this regard. Then, so KP Kesava, okay, he initiated once again. He initiated the temple entry movement. He started demand with the authorities, but then the final outcome came when the movement was organized under the leadership of the hero of the Vaikom Satyagraha, K. Kelappan, and the singing sword. Basically, there was one person who is one of the most famous poet from the Kerala, and his name was Subramaniam Tirumbambu. Then, so when they initiated the movement, then finally in 1936, ruler of the Travancore, he opened the gates of the temple to the untouchables. Then, moreover, this movement also got the support of the Gandhi. Gandhi has gone to Kerala to support them, and so as the C. Rajagopalachari. So mention Sri Narayan Guru. Sri Narayan Guru was the pioneer of temple entry movement. Was the pioneer of temple entry movement. Pioneer of temple entry movement. But he was not able to achieve any success in this regard. He was not able to achieve any success in this regard. Full stop. After the end of non-cooperation movement, KP Kesava re-initiated likhna, KP Kesava re-initiated temple entry movement in 1924. Full stop. By 1931, this movement got support of Gandhi and C. Rajagopalachari. Rajgopalachari. This name you'll be writing so many times in the second part of the history. Then you mention. Finally, in 1936, temple entry movement in Kerala was led by K. Kelappan and the famous poet Subramaniam Tirumbambu. You can see the spelling. K. Kelappan and Subramaniam Tirumbambu. Then, as such, in 1936, ruler of Travancore opened the gateways of temples to all the classes of Hindu society. To all the classes of Hindu society. Then, to all the classes of Hindu society. So this is what is all about the movement, particularly in the Hinduism. Okay? Now we'll start with the reform movements in the Islam. Okay? So start kare. Let's go with this. Reform in Islam. So listen, when it comes to reform in Islam, so we'll start with the Aligarh movement. ठीक है? So लिख लो इसमें the first title you write Aligarh movement. So listen. Aligarh movement was initiated by Sir Syed Ahmed Khan of Aligarh. Okay. So Sir Syed Ahmed Khan, first of all, who was he? So Sir Syed Ahmed Khan was in the services of the British government. Which services? Judicial services of the British government. Then in 1876 his retirement happened, and in 1878 he became the member of the Imperial Legislative Council. Now for the very first time we are talking about this thing like Imperial Legislative Council. We must be thinking that kahan se aaya, ye council kahan se aa gaya. So we'll be talking about this once we embark in the first phase of the freedom struggle, where we'll be talking about the Queen Victoria's Declaration, Government of India Act 1858, which led to the creation of the 15-member Council of India, and this Council of India came to be known as the Imperial Legislative Council. So 1876 he retired from the judicial services of the government, and 1878 he became the member of the Imperial Legislative Council. Moreover, since he was in the services of the British government, so he was very loyal to the British authority. But at the same point of time, there is one more thing is to be noted down. What is this? So understand that when the 1857 revolt happened, there were many people who were talking about the nature of the revolt. Then, so what is the nature of the revolt? I'll just do a little bit of discussion over here. This question has also come in the mains examination. So nature of the revolt we have not mentioned in the class. Basically, there were many such theories that what was the nature of this 1857 revolt. Some people called that basically the British historians, they had n number of the versions regarding it. Some of them are calling it was a movement or a revolt organized by the black people against the white people to wipe out their race. Then this is one nature that they have mentioned. Some of them they called that it was not this, but it was a war between or revolt between the civilized world and the uncivilized world. Then some of them called that, some of the British historians they called that this is a war between the civilized and the barbaric people. Then some of the people they called that it is a war against that black and white, that's what we mentioned. And some of them they said that this is a mutiny, okay, in the army, impromptu. Some of them they said that it was a war against the Christianity and the Oriental religions. These all are the natures then. And then the Indian versions. So who called it? Suppose a question aa jaye exam mein that who called it the first war of independence? V.D. Savarkar. Okay? So this is one thing that was said by him, that first war of the independence, V.D. Savarkar called it first war of independence. Then Subhash Chandra Bose, he also agreed with the V.D. Savarkar. He also said that it was the first war of the independence. Then the one which was agreed by everyone as far as the nature of the revolt is concerned, that it was a sepoy mutiny, okay, which happened in an impromptu manner, and then people joined against the British authority. Moreover, one more thing, there was one more notion. One notion, or basically one nature which was defined by majority of the people, British historian, that is, it was a Muslim conspiracy against the British rulers. Okay? So it was a Muslim conspiracy against the British ruler. Now, when this notion was popularized, so Sir Syed Ahmed Khan, okay, he wrote a very famous article at that point of time. And name of the article is Asbab-e Bagawat-e Hind. Asbab-e Bagawat-e Hind. Then, so what is this meaning of this word? Reasons of the revolt of the 1857. And in this he mentioned that he completely rejected this notion of the Muslim conspiracy against the British authority, and then he correctly named in this article that the revolt was basically, the nature of the revolt was basically because of aggressive expansionist policy of the British East India Company. Okay? So he called them, then that it is basically because of the aggressive expansionist policy of the British East India Company. And then he further went on to suggest to the British government that in future, if they want to avoid such a kind of a clash, such a kind of revolt, so then they must, okay, they must incorporate more Muslims into the administration, and company's expansionist policy must come to an end. Then already it has come to an end, but then it must not be given any other role. So this is what he mentioned in this article. And moreover, since already the change of guard has happened by this time when he has written this article, so British government took it seriously. Okay, which government? British Crown. 1858 change of power has happened. So they took it seriously and they paid heed to the suggestions of the Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. So you write a little bit, then we'll talk about the social reform part of his. So you write, it was initiated by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan of Aligarh. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, SYED. Okay? Sir Syed Ahmad Khan of Aligarh. He was member of Judicial Services of the government. He was member of Judicial Services of the government and retired in 1876. And retired in 1876. Full stop. After his retirement in 1878, he became member of Imperial Legislative. He became member of Imperial Legislative Council. Imperial Legislative Council. कुछ लोग जिनको 2025-26 में एग्ज़ाम देना है वो आज भाग गए हैं क्लास में. I can see, I know everyone. Then so those faces which are not there in the classes, ठीक है, for them there would be a surprise. Some other day. जिस दिन होंगे उसी दिन, ठीक है? So let's see. Now you write further. So Imperial Legislative Council. Then listen, not listen, write. Paragraph change करके लिखना, ठीक है? After the revolt of 1857, many theories were popularized. Against Indians. Full stop. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan rejected the notion of revolt as Muslim conspiracy. Against British authority. He wrote a very famous article. And you can write this name, Asbab-e Bagawat-e Hind. And in brackets you can mention causes of the 1857 revolt. Then mention in this article he further suggested to British authority that that if they want that if they want there must not be any revolt like this in future, revolt like this in future, they must include, comma के बाद, they must include more Muslims, they must include more Muslims in administration. Then full stop, then mention he squarely blamed, he squarely, square ly, say squarely blamed the aggressive expansionist policy, the aggressive expansionist policy of British East India Company, for the outbreak of revolt, then so this is one part of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. Okay? Now let's look at his social reform agenda. So first of all, what he did not like in the Muslim society. So basically he was against few things. I'm writing it, so just give me 1 minute. He was in the favor of the education of the women, then so education of girls, then he was against the institution of polygamy, he was against parda system, and so as he was against Piri Muridi. We'll tell you what is this last one, but let's look at it one by one. So he promoted girls' education. He asked Muslim society to to dilute their orthodox outlook, and girls must be allowed to go into the education sphere. Then apart from it, he was against the polygamy, institution of polygamy. So institution of polygamy, as you know, that a man can marry many women, but then second one, parda system. So parda system, basically that parda system is related to, I hope you all know, and parda system was very prevalent in the society in many sections, not just the Muslim society, but also in the different section of the society. But then what we maintained in the beginning, that the social reformers of that time, they maintained a kind of a line that they will be only talking about their community, their religion. They are not passing comments on the other religion. So it was related to that. And then Piri Muridi. So Piri Muridi is basically the blind followership, okay, of the religious gurus, ulemas and Maulvis. So basically the term comes from the Sufism, okay, but यहाँ पे meaning ये है कि blind followers of the orthodox Maulvis and ulemas. Then, and in Sufism it is called as, Pir is called as the teacher, okay, and Murid is called as the disciple. So this is what he commented at this point of time. Moreover, for promotion of the education, and particularly the Western education, combined with the traditional Islamic learning, he created a college in 1875. And the name of the college was, नहीं, अलीगढ़ मुस्लिम यूनिवर्सिटी नाम नहीं था, ठीक है, एंग्लो ओरिएंटल मोहम्मडन कॉलेज, ठीक है. सो मोहम्मडन एंग्लो ओरिएंटल कॉलेज एट अलीगढ़, and this college in 1920 it became Aligarh Muslim University. So it did not happen during the lifetime of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, but it happened after his death in 1920. So mention, you write that he stood for education of women, and modern Western education in Muslim community. Modern Western education in Muslim community. Full stop. He was completely against institution of polygamy, parda system and Piri Muridi. and Piri Muridi. Full stop. To fulfill the objective of modern Western education, he opened Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College. Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College at Aligarh in 1875. Later, this college became Aligarh Muslim University. Later, this college became Aligarh Muslim University in 1920. In this college, both modern Western sciences and traditional Islamic learning was imparted. Now just listen last few words about Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. So Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, he also released a magazine of reform, okay? And the name of this magazine of reform was Tehzeeb-ul-Akhlaq, okay? And the English version of it was known as Improvement in the Manners and Morals. So you just write this last line, okay? He also released a reform magazine. Tehzeeb ul Akhlaq. And the English version of it is known as Improvement in the Manners and the Morals. Then one last line also, in 1888, you can mention 1888, he was conferred with the title of knighthood. By the British authority for his exemplary service to British government. Should I write spelling of exemplary? Service to British government. Then, so this is what is about the Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. There are few more organizations. We will have a look on it after the break. Okay? Chalo. So write the next one. Wait. So the next organization, here you write Darul Uloom. Deoband. So listen, Darul Uloom Deoband was founded in 1866. ठीक है, and place was Saharanpur in western UP. ठीक है, Deoband is in Saharanpur area of western UP. So this organization was founded by Qasim Nanotwi and Rashid Ahmed Gangohi. So ये लिख सकते हो वैसे भी, ठीक है, there is no need of dictation in this part. Rashid Ahmed Gangohi. So now listen. So it was founded by these two people in 1866. So what is the aim or objective of this organization? This was a revivalist organization. It was not a reform, revivalist organization. So they were of the view that the present system of religion adhered by the Muslims is completely diluted because of the many influence. Then, and particularly they were critical about the influence of the British authority. So influence of the British authority. So they carried two objectives in this organization. First of all, promotion and the propagation of the original teachings of the Prophet, okay, and also the propagation of the Holy Quran. So there are two things which I am going to write over here, that they wanted to promote the Sunnah and the Hadith. Not only the Holy Quran, but also the Sunnah and the Hadith. Anyone who knows what is this? What is there in the Sunnah? Sayings of the Prophet. Okay? So sayings of the Prophet Muhammad, and Hadith is the traditions and the records, the traditions which were created by the Prophet. So these are the sayings of the Prophet, and these are the traditions which were created by the Prophet. And the Holy Quran, what is there in the Holy Quran? The words of the angel Jibreel to the Prophet. Okay? So these three things they wanted to promote, number one. And number two, that they wanted to initiate spirit of jihad against British authority. So spirit of jihad against the British authority. Now don't go with so many meanings which are there in the modern times related to this word. What is the original meaning that was supposed to be there in the beginning? The meaning of this word is the ability to differentiate between what is wrong and what is right, and fight for what is right. Okay? So they considered British rule as not right. Okay? It is leading to the exploitation. It is leading to the despoliation of Indians. And then the best solution is to throw out British rule from India. So right from the beginning, Deoband organization was also a nationalist organization. When Indian National Congress was founded in 1885, so it welcomed the creation of the Indian National Congress. Moreover, when Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, he pledged his loyalty towards British authority, so then this organization released a fatwa against Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. So what is fatwa? Religious decree. Okay? So religious decree whereby, meaning that it is all promoted that people must not pay heed to him, and then he must be brought to justice. Okay? So this is what is all about this organization. It's still a very popular organization even till this point of time. So mention, you write this part. I hope you have already written ki Saharanpur mein these people. Then you write, it was a revivalist movement. It was a revivalist movement. Full stop. Then mention, they believed the present system of religion, has been diluted by imposition of Western thought and culture. They wanted to return back to pure version of Islam. full stop. It carried two objectives. It carried two objectives. Number one, promotion and propagation of the Holy Quran, the Hadith. Hadith is written on board. The Holy Quran, the Hadith and the Sunnah. And चाहो तो brackets में लिख सकते हो what is Hadith. So in Hadith you write Sunnah is the sayings of the Prophet and Hadith is traditions created by the Prophet. Hadith is traditions created by the Prophet and the Sunnah is sayings of the Prophet. Opposite है. Hadith is saying, but she said something different. एक बार कंफर्म कर लेना, ठीक है? चलो एक बार कंफर्म कर लेना and then कंफर्म करके मेरे को बताना है. If that would be the same, so I will change it. ठीक है? Then, so then mention. Second one you write. To initiate spirit of jihad against British authority. To initiate spirit of jihad against British authority. And इसमें जिहाद का मीनिंग भी लिख लो, ठीक है? You write a meaning. To differentiate between what is right, and what is wrong. Differentiate between what is right and what is wrong. And a struggle to promote that is right. To promote what is right, not that is right. And to promote what is right. Then, so this is the meaning of the word. Then mention further. So, right from the beginning, it was a nationalist organization. It was a nationalist organization. In 1885, it welcomed the creation of Indian National Congress. It welcomed the creation of Indian National Congress. Full stop. Then you write, when Sayyid Ahmad Khan pledged his loyalty towards British authority, Deoband issued a fatwa, F-A-T-W-A, a fatwa, and in brackets you can write religious decree against Sayyid Ahmad Khan. ठीक है? So this is what is about this particular organization. And Wahhabi already we have covered पहले ही. You remember? कहाँ पे? Civil and tribal uprising. So second time we'll not write. I think I mentioned in the class. So that also comes under was a reform movement itself. So एक बार सुन लो that what we discussed in the Wahhabi. ठीक है? So we discussed in the Wahhabi that Wahhabi movement was initiated in 1840s, and basically it was based on the teachings of two people. One is the Abdul Wahhab of Saudi Arabia and Shah Waliullah of Delhi. ठीक है? But then it was promoted by Sayyid Ahmad of Rai Bareli. And moreover, what they were critical about. So they were also critical about the Western influence on the Islam, and they felt that Islam has been diluted by the Western influence, but they were also anti to the other religious conversion movements. Then, and later on, what we mentioned, when the annexation of the Punjab has happened, so they turned against the British authority and they also participated in the 1857 revolt. So already you have written, यहाँ पे बस heading लिख के छोड़ दो, ठीक है? So that it will be there in your mind. So Wahhabi movement. Then, so now let's come to the one which we need to discuss. Next लिखो Ahmadiyya movement. Ahmadiyya movement. So Ahmadiyya movement was initiated in 1889 by Mirza Ghulam Muhammad. By Mirza Ghulam Muhammad. Now listen. So when it comes to Ahmadiyya, Ahmadiyya are one of the community presently in good numbers in Pakistan, okay? And moreover, they are one of the highly persecuted community within Islam. So just like in each and every religion, there are many such subdivisions. In Islam also, you know that one of the major subdivisions Shia Sunni, but uske alawa bhi bahut sare divisions hain. Then, so Ahmadiyyas are one of the highly persecuted community within Islam, particularly in today's part of the Pakistan. Similarly, there are many other communities within Islam who are highly persecuted. So for example, in China, okay, the Uyghurs, then in Myanmar, batao, Rohingyas, and then in Afghanistan, Hazaras, okay. So similarly, they are also highly persecuted, but then we need to see what other things are associated with them. Mirza Ghulam Muhammad, he claimed that he was an awaited Mahdi. Mahdi means Messiah. So he claimed that he is an awaited Mahdi, and then he also popularized that he has got his spiritual connection with the Allah and the Prophet Muhammad. But then when it comes to their social reform, they were reformist and basically very similar to Brahma Samaj. They stood for the modern Western education, for the upliftment of Ahmadiyyas. They stood for the education of women. Then they stood for that this all things, okay? That is reform in the aspect of religion which is related to the polygamy. So exactly similar to what was said by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. And such was the impact of this reform which was initiated, that they happened to be, at the time of the independence of India and Pakistan, they happened to be one of the most educated community in Pakistan. And after that, when the persecution continued, so large number of Ahmadiyyas, they migrated to UK and they migrated to USA. So if you look at the composition of Pakistani population in UK and USA, so then more number of Ahmadiyyas are there than any other community, and they are very educated people. In fact, they are in the scientific field, they are in the medical field, so they have achieved a lot. And it is very unfortunate for Pakistan that there was one of the highly educated finance minister in the Pakistan lately, when Mr. Imran Khan was prime minister. He chose him as the finance minister, who studied from Harvard and Oxford. And then what happened? Due to the pressure of the orthodox section, he was removed. And now the finance ministers, they are all together on a different tangent. When we talk about, then when the world talks about that Chandrayaan has gone from India, so they talk about wahan pe jaake rehna thodi hai. So so pathetic state, very pathetic state is there, just because of orthodoxy is still prevalent over there. So just mention, you right? It was initiated by, मुझे याद है, last, I think in 2022 only, when the tomato prices were skyrocketed in Pakistan. And you know, in each and every cuisine, there is a need of the tomato. And why it was skyrocketed? Because of that, the rivalry which was there between India and Pakistan, and then there was a import ban from India side. Then, so जस्ट लाइक अभी हमारे यहाँ भी 300-400 रुपये किलो मिल रहा था. सो उस टाइम पे भी 300-400 रुपये किलो, वहाँ पे तो 600 रुपये किलो तक था. सो देन वन ऑफ देयर मिनिस्टर ही सेड दैट इफ दे डोंट सेंड द टोमेटोज विल सेंड द न्यूक्स टू इंडिया. सो So just write. It was initiated by Mirza Ghulam Muhammad in 1889. Then उसके बाद लिखो he Mirza Ghulam Muhammad written, ठीक है, in 1889, and then you write he proclaimed that he was awaited Mahdi. You can see the spelling. He proclaimed that he was awaited Mahdi or Messiah. 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 Who was directly prophesied. Who was directly prophesied by the Allah and the Prophet then mention after it Prophet. He stood for modern Western education. He stood for modern Western education among Ahmadiyas. He also promoted girls' education. Like Brahma Samaj, he also called for respect towards all the religions. Then mention. Then they stood against spirit of jihad. And often enlisted help of British authority. Then, so this is what is about the Ahmadiyya community and their movement. So reform in Islam, we are done with it. Let's move to the reform in Sikhism. Okay? So write a word title, reform in Sikhism. So number one, you write Nirankari movement. So it was initiated by Baba Dayal Das. And this was somewhere around 1830s. He initiated this movement. Then, so Baba Dayal Das was contemporary of the Maharaja Ranjit Singh. Then, and moreover, he was against many of the initiatives of the Maharaja Ranjit Singh. Basically, those initiatives which were leading to the wastage of the money and the wealth. Then he was of the view that rather than going with the pomp and show, this money can be utilized for the upliftment of the poor. Then, moreover, what all other things he is talking about. So first of all, Nirankar. What is Nirankar? That the worship and the adoration of the God who is without shape, without form. Okay? So one God who is without shape, without form. So God is Nirakar, meaning without shape, without form. Then further, he was also against the idol worship. Okay? And by this point of time in Sikhism, idol worship of the gurus have also started. So he was against the idol worship of the human gurus. He was also against the worship of tomb and graves. Then moreover, he also promoted a very simple version of Anand Karaj. What is Anand Karaj? Marriage. Okay? So marriage in Sikhism. So he promoted a very simple version of Anand Karaj, which was conducted in the front of Holy Guru Granth Sahib. ठीक है, no pomp and show, no excessive expense, but simply going in front of Guru Granth Sahib and marriage is concluded. Then, so this is what he promoted. So mention, it was initiated by Baba Dayal Das in 1830s. In 1830s, full stop, and then mention, he was contemporary of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. Maharaja Ranjit Singh. Then mention, he promoted worship and adoration of formless and shapeless God. Worship and adoration of formless and shapeless God. Full stop. Then he stood against idol worship. He stood against idol worship and worship of human gurus, tomb and graves. Worship of human gurus, tomb and graves. TOMB, tomb and graves. Then mention, he also promoted a simple version. He also promoted a simple version of Anand Karaj or marriage. Simple version of Anand Karaj or marriage, that is in front of the holy Guru Granth Sahib. In front of the holy Guru Granth Sahib. So Guru Granth Sahib is also called as Adi Granth. Then, so this is what is about this particular part. Okay? Let's come to the movement which we have discussed from the perspective of revolt against the British authority, but here socio-religious part I need to discuss. Okay? So this is Namdhari movement. Mention. Number 2, Namdhari or movement in Sikhism. So 1840s. Also known as Kuka movement. So you have written it. Understand. This Namdhari part also we discussed a little bit. It was initiated by Bhagat Jawahar Mal. Okay? And what we discussed, that later on they also participated in 1857 revolt. But here the story is different. So Bhagat Jawahar Mal was the founder, but then it became a very profound social reform movement in the Sikhism under Baba Ram Singh. Under Baba Ram Singh. Then, so now understand that what was there about the Baba Ram Singh and why we are calling it as a profound movement. So he actually tried to address the main problems of the Sikh society at that point of time, or basically the Punjab society at that point of time. One of the problem in the Sikhism by this point of time is the emergence of caste system in Punjab society. Okay? So emergence of caste system. Now understand, it may seem little amusing to you that how come there is a caste system in Sikhism. In fact, all the religions in India, they developed the caste features, okay, over the period. In Islam also there are the caste features. In Hinduism, obviously it is a part, but in Sikhism also. So there is a one reason, and I don't want to tell you the big words, but then लिखना नहीं, सुन लो बस समझने के लिए, ठीक है? There is one theory called as little tradition, great tradition, ठीक है? And going by the little tradition, great tradition, what happens that as per the little great tradition, the people who are coming from the rural areas, when they're moving to the bigger areas, and urban areas or new areas. In new areas, they are learning new things which is sustaining their life, okay, which is improving their living standards. Then, so not only they are grabbing this opportunity and they are going ahead with that opportunity, but at the same point of time, they never leave their little tradition. And what is this little tradition? Their culture. So let me tell you, Punjab always has been one of the richest state of India, agriculturally very rich, and because of it, there was a very good movement of the labor class, particularly from the eastern part of the country. Then, so Bihar, then UP, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, from these all area. And these peasants, when they have gone to these all states in Punjab, so they got opportunity, obviously, agricultural field, and then the payment is good. So over the period, they started inhabiting these areas. They created their settlements, and they became actually the inhabitants of the Punjab. And in this way, they have also gone in the direction of accepting Sikhism. But once they have accepted the Sikhism, they have not shed their old caste identity. And once they have not shed their old caste identity, so though they are the part of the Sikhism, but they continue with their old identity. Then, so this is how the incorporation of the caste started to happen in the Sikh society. So, for example, that the previous chief minister of the Punjab, okay, he proclaimed himself to be the Dalit. Channi, okay, this is what it was his campaign only, that he was a Dalit Sikh. So how come this word is coming over there? It's just because of these all processes. Then, so this has gone into the Sikhism. So he stood against the incorporation of the caste system in the Sikh society. That is one thing. Then he also stood against one of the big problem of this area, and that is female feticide. Female feticide. Then I'm not writing infanticide. Then I'm writing, no, sorry, galat hai. Feticide nahi, infanticide likhna hai. Feticide would be wrong. I'll tell you what is why the reason. So why infanticide? Why I'll not be writing feticide? So now this is a big problem, and this has been a big problem. Okay? There are two reasons of it. Don't give it any religious color. The explanation which I'm giving to you, it has already been asked in the mains exam. So without giving a religious color, just understand that what developments were there. There are two reasons of the one is historical and one is contemporary. So I'm just asking few questions. Have you seen the census of India 2011? And which all states have very skewed sex ratio? Which all states have very skewed sex ratio? बहुत खराब. Haryana and Punjab. Okay? Things are improving. Maybe the next census when it happens, so maybe the things have improved, and actually it has improved. Then, but then abhi hamare paas jo data hai, that is 2011. So as per the 2011 data, it is hardly, for 1000 men, there are hardly 840 women in these areas. Then, so what is the reason that why the skewed sex ratio is there? In fact, the question which was there in the mains exam, that when we look at the Punjab, and particularly Punjab, it mentioned that it ranks very high in other HDI matters. Okay? So Human Development Index. Then it ranks very good in the GDP. It ranks very good in the per capita income. Despite these all good rankings, why they have a very highly skewed sex ratio? So understand there are two things. One is the historical and another is the contemporary. So what is the historical reason? Since Punjab was the gateway to India. Okay? It was the gateway to India, right from gateway to India whenever anybody is coming, crossing the passes from the Himalayan range, Hindu Kush, Suleiman and Kirtahar. So it is gateway. And when you look at the medieval history, so medieval history, one of the attribute of invaders all over the world, okay? Not because of the religion, okay, but the attribute, one of the feature of the invaders, that the exploitation of the women. In fact, when you look at the history of the humanity, it very recently it has become the history of the wars between the religion, but in the old world and all the time it was subjugation of the second gender by the first gender. Then, so whenever these invaders are entering from this area, it has led to a hell lot of sexual exploitation and subjugation of the women of that area. So now this was a constant fear because from the medieval centuries, these invasions were very incessant and very continuous way. So people, they, that the traditional societies who considered that beti or the daughter as the ghar ki ijjat, then so they all started adopting the methods that how to save the ghar ki ijjat. There must not be any ijjat at the very first place. Then so let's kill the female child. Then if she will be raised and then if she will be taken by the invaders, so then after that would be that will bring utmost disrespect to them in the society. So this is how it all started from the medieval ages itself, that there was a sexual preference of the child. When the child is born, obviously feticide इसलिए नहीं हो सकता कि पता ही नहीं होगा कि fetus में है कौन, ठीक है? So when the child was born, so those people, ठीक है, who were not rich enough, ठीक है, who were poor, so they killed their female child. Then that is one of the reason which continued for a very long time. But in the modern age, ठीक है, 50 साल के अंदर सिचुएशन चेंज हो जाती है, ठीक है? इन 50 to 100 years सिचुएशन चेंजेस. What is the reason in the modern age? Since this was the very rich area, it was a very rich area. So as you know that wherever the richness is there, all the life comforts come to that place at very first time, ठीक है? As compared to the other areas, it comes to that place very readily. So for example, if you look at modern agricultural technologies, for example harvesters, then so harvesters were introduced in the eastern UP, Bihar and other areas, I think recently in 2000s only. But in Punjab, it was already there from 1885. Then, so 1985, sorry. 1980s itself, the harvesters and these all technologies were there. So whichever area would be rich, all the technologies will come to that area first. And one of the technology which I am referring to is the ultrasound machines. Then, so ultrasound machines, these machines, they were as you know, it is good in the detection of the gender of the child. Then, and since when this technology was introduced in India, large number of medical centers, they went ahead with the ultrasound machines, and so many ultrasound centers were created in the Punjab and in some of the posh areas of the Haryana also. Now, after this particular thing, selective abortion started. So here we can mention feticide in the modern age. So selective abortion started, and as such, the sex ratio was highly skewed. Then, highly skewed. Looking at this grave scenario, when the census of 1991 has come, so government came up with the act, and name of the act was PCPNDT Act. I hope you must have heard about. So, nahi bhi padha hai, but it is all related to the no detection of the gender of the child by using the ultrasound machines. Then, and as such, even the hefty penalties, imprisonment will be imposed on the doctors who are telling the gender of the child. So this is how it happened, and things started to improve in Punjab and Haryana. So on the basis of it, one must not claim that poor people of Bihar, UP, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand were better than the people of Punjab. No, it's not the case. If the technology would have been introduced in this area also, the mindset is all similar. People would have gone to selective abortion. So since it was introduced in those areas first, impact was there in those areas. But then it is expected that in the near future, in next 20 years, that they will be able to catch up the national sex ratio, which is very much probable and which is happening. So 2021 census is awaited, and if it is done, if it is released, so you will see, as per the informal reports from the government, there is at least improvement of the 40. So 840 to 880, 885 already happened in the Punjab and Haryana. So I hope you got it. So this problem is historical. It was there, and then he initiated this very profound movement against the female infanticide. So mention, you write. ये ऊपर वाला पार्ट लिख लिया, ऑलरेडी यू हैव रिटन, ठीक है? सो इनिशियल फाउंडर लिख लो भगत जवाहर मल, ऐसे करके लिख लो, इनिशियल फाउंडर भगत जवाहर मल. So mention, you write, it became a very profound social reform movement under Baba Ram Singh. under Baba Ram Singh. Then he was completely against, he was completely against incorporation of caste system, incorporation of caste system in Sikhism, and the practice of female feticide, and the practice of female feticide, infanticide, sorry, I am getting it. So female infanticide. Then this much is fine. Then let's come to the last two. So mention Singh Sabha. Singh Sabha. So here we don't need to talk about, there is no leader, but actually Singh Sabhas were the collective body of the Sikhism. Okay? Collective body of the reform in the Sikhism. And listen, so Singh Sabha, they felt that on one hand, in Hinduism, in Islam, everyone, there are people who are promoting the Western education, they are going to get the benefit. So the objective of this organization was also to bring the benefits of the Western education to Sikh community, and the second was to oppose the conversion activities of the other religions. Okay? So conversion activities initiated by Islamic people, the Hindus, okay, and the Christians also. Then, so these were two objectives. To fulfill the very first objective, they created Khalsa school, okay, and college. And first Khalsa school was created in Amritsar in 1892. So here, modern scientific education was imparted with the traditional Sikh education. So mention Singh Sabha. Singh Sabha was the collective body of reform. Singh Sabha was the collective body of reform in Sikhism. Sikhism, full stop. It had two objectives. It had two objectives. Number one, to bring the benefits of Western modern sciences, to bring the benefit of Western modern sciences in Sikh community, and number two, to oppose proselytizing activities, number two, to oppose proselytizing activities of Christian missionaries, Arya Samajist, Christian missionaries, Arya Samajist, and Wahhabis. Full stop. To fulfill the first objective, Khalsa school was created at Amritsar. Khalsa school was created at Amritsar in 1892. In 1892. Then, so that's Singh Sabha, the last organization you write in the Sikhism. So mention Akali movement or Gurudwara reform movement. Akali movement or Gurudwara reform movement. So now understand. when it comes to Akali or Gurdwara reform movement. This movement was between 1920 to 25, and it was a very successful movement. So how it happened? Why it happened? First of all, so Sikh Gurudwaras, okay, are the main religious place in the Sikhism, and these Sikh Gurudwaras were controlled by corrupt Mahants. Okay? So these Sikh Gurudwaras were controlled by corrupt Mahants, and these corrupt Mahants had the backing of British authority. So they were basically supported by British authority. Moreover, these corrupt Mahants, they also diluted many of the important doctrines of the Sikhism, tenets of the Sikhism. So now this movement started to free Gurudwaras from the control of these Mahants, and this was completely non-violent movement. It is happening at the same point of time when the non-cooperation is happening. Then, so it was a completely non-violent movement and based on the Gandhian principles itself. Then, so it was a highly effective movement as such. In 1922, government was under immense pressure, and under the pressure, government has come up with a bill, and name of the bill was SGPC bill. So, what is the full form of this? Shiromani, any idea? Gurudwara Prabandhak Committee Act. So Gurudwara, let me write first, Prabandhak Committee Act. So this bill got passed in 1922 itself, okay? But then it was implemented in 1925. So mention, you write that Sikh Gurudwaras were controlled by the corrupt Mahants. Gurudwaras were controlled by the corrupt Mahants who were supported by British authority. Then mention these Mahants distorted many of the original doctrines of Sikhism. Full stop. Paragraph change करके लिखो. Akali movement was completely non-violent movement, to free Sikh Gurudwaras from the control of corrupt Mahants. Then mention as a result government passed Shiromani Gurudwara Prabandhak Committee Act. Shiromani Gurudwara Prabandhak Committee मैंने लिखा नहीं है, लिख लेना. Prabandhak Committee Act 1922. Prabandhak Committee Act 1922, which was implemented in 1925. एक लास्ट लाइन लिख लो इसमें, ठीक है. So on the success of this movement, Gandhi congratulated Akalis. On the success of this movement, Gandhi congratulated Akalis that the first phase of India's freedom struggle has been has been won by them. The first phase of India's freedom struggle has been won by them. Then, so this is how the things happened. एक last बचा हुआ है, that is reform in the Zoroastrianism. I have a second class, so I'm not proceeding. 15 minute का topic है, but then we'll do in the next class. And after the completion of that part, we'll go into the new topic. So 10% syllabus gone, and then we'll enter into the freedom struggle part, in which our first discussion would be factors which favored rise of nationalism. Okay? So we'll start with this topic tomorrow after the completion of reform in Parsi religion. Okay? Chalo, thank you.